All right, so let's jump right in. For decades, there's been this battle raging in Brazilian cities, a fight over their most valuable public asset, their streets. And for a very long time, one side was winning by a landslide.
It's such a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it pretty much dictates how we live our lives. Think about it. Is a street just a pipeline to move cars from point A to point B as fast as possible? Or is it something more? Is it a place for people?
You see, for more than 50 years, the answer in Brazil was crystal clear. The car was king. Everything about urban planning, everything was about maximizing traffic flow, building bigger roads, more viaducts. And people, pedestrians, cyclists, they were kind of just an afterthought. And what did that get them? Well, it led to cities that just felt hostile, inefficient. You had massive urban sprawl, and the streets themselves became incredibly dangerous. Get this. In a huge city like São Paulo, pedestrians and cyclists account for more than 45% of all traffic deaths. The writing was on the wall. This model just wasn't working for everyone.
So what if there was another way to do things? A totally different philosophy for how we design our streets? Well, that's where this idea of complete streets comes in. And honestly, it's a pretty simple idea, but it represents a totally radical shift in thinking.
And really, the whole concept is right there in the name. It's about designing streets that are, complete. Streets that work for everyone. We're talking pedestrians, cyclists, people waiting for the bus, kids, older folks, people with disabilities, literally everyone. And let's be clear, this isn't about banning cars, not at all. It's about finding a balance.
So when you actually break it down, how does this work? Well, a few core principles really stand out. First, you focus on people, not just cars. Simple, right? It also means different city departments, like transportation and urban planning, have to actually talk to each other. And this is a big one. There's no cookie-cutter solution. Every street design has to fit its own unique context, and it always has to prioritize the safety of the most vulnerable people using it.
Now, this isn't just some high-level academic theory. No. Cities all across Brazil have been putting these ideas into action. So let's take a look at how they're turning these blueprints into a brand new reality on the ground.
Okay, let's start with Rua João Carlos Borges in São Paulo. The problem here was super clear. This street is the main way for over 21,000 people to get to a busy train station every single day. But the sidewalks were so narrow, people were literally forced to walk in the road. So the solution? A really smart, low-cost quick fix. They use things like paint and planters to widen the sidewalks, slow cars down, and get rid of some parking spots.
And the impact? It was pretty much immediate. Get this, a whopping 92% of people they surveyed said the street felt safer and more comfortable after the changes. 92%. It just goes to show how even these small, tactical changes can have a massive, massive impact on how people feel about their city.
But hey, it's not all about these quick, practical fixes. Sometimes you gotta go bigger. In Salvador, for example, they took on the historic Rua Miguel Calmon. The goal was way more permanent, to completely revitalize this key commercial and tourist hotspot. So what they do? They added a bike lane, made the sidewalks way wider, planted 90 new trees, and totally upgraded the lighting.
And the result here? Honestly, it's profound. In the year they made those changes, there were exactly 0 traffic deaths on that street. 0. It also had the lowest number of injury-related crashes in 8 years. That's the life-saving power of people-first design right there.
You know what's really fascinating is seeing how this whole approach can adapt to completely different problems. Let's look at Porto Alegre's Rua João Alfredo. This street had a total split personality. Huge nightlife scene, but during the day, it was dead quiet, except for cars speeding through way over the 40-kilometer-per-hour limit. So the city used that tactical approach again, putting in a new roundabout and sidewalk extensions to physically slow traffic down.
And did it work? Oh yeah, the data says it all. At one of the main intersections, the average speed of cars dropped by 17 kilometers per hour. The design itself actually forced drivers to change their behavior, which made the streets safer for everybody, no matter what time of day it was.
Okay, so we've seen these incredible results, right? But how does a city actually do this? How do you make it happen? It's not just luck. There's a pretty clear recipe for this kind of transformation. It really boils down to a 4-step process. It all starts with diagnosis, because you can't fix a street if you don't truly understand how it works. Next up is design, and this is where talking to the community is absolutely critical. It gets people on board.
For the implementation, cities can choose to start small, test out ideas with low-cost trials before they commit to huge permanent changes. And finally, measurement. You have to measure your results. This part is so important because hard data proves the impact and helps build support for the next project.
But the physical changes, the paint, the planters, the pavement, that's only half the story. The real secret ingredients are the things you can't just pave over. You absolutely need political will from the top. You need real community engagement so that people feel like the street belongs to them. And you need to build partnerships with local businesses, with universities, and even with other cities so you can all learn from each other.
Because when you get all of that right, you're not just changing a single street. You're actually starting a ripple effect that can change an entire city. There's this one quote from the report that just captures this whole idea perfectly. It says, "A complete street is a seed of transformation. It's not the end goal, it's the beginning of something much, much bigger."
And really, that's the main takeaway from all of this. These small, smart projects can prove that the concept works, they can build momentum, and they can inspire those much larger changes that make our cities fundamentally safer, healthier, and just more prosperous for every single person living there.
So it kind of leaves you with one last question, something to think about the next time you walk out your front door. What if your street was next? What would it take to make it complete?